Hey guys, just here with some gameplay of Final Fantasy XIV on the AYN Thor. This is running through GameHub, and the reason I'm using GameHub over Game Native, which is what I normally use, is because their Steam implementation just seems to work with the Steam sign-in for Final Fantasy XIV. I couldn't get it to work on Game Native. But anyway, there's a few things you need to do in order to get this game up and running. I guess starting with the biggest issue that I was running into was the web view problem. So we can go into how that was solved, and yeah, we can head on from there. So I'll start by exiting the game. I just wanted to show that it does in fact run. Do have some other footage of it running pretty well, all things considered. But anyway, just going into it, I'll show my container settings. To be honest, these don't seem to matter. I haven't really tweaked them too much. I guess going into the graphics settings, I've kept it at 720p. Nothing fancy here, just the newest GPU driver, 26.3.0 R1, newest DXVK. It doesn't use VKD3D. This isn't a DirectX 12 game, so it doesn't really matter what you pick there. In terms of compatibility, I've just gone with latest Proton extreme parameters. I haven't had any crashing. I've played about 10 hours. Nothing so far. The latest FX version at this time, which is the June one. There have been more since then, but Game Native compiles these. GameHub compiles these themselves. If you want the Steam syncing, you have to have Steam client on. The other settings don't matter too much, and I've installed Gecko. Right, so going into it, after you download the launcher, at least, you can go into the container, and you can go enter virtual desktop. Now, unfortunately, the GameHub containers don't have a text editor. I went and downloaded Notepad and put it in my phone's downloads folder. So if we go into my downloads folder, I have Notepad++, and I just got the portable version, which I extracted into the downloads folder of my phone. So we'll just open this up, and I'll explain why in a second. So I've already got the Final Fantasy XIV boot file open, but after you download the game and you run it for the first time, eventually you will get to the Final Fantasy XIV logo on a grey screen, and it'll sit there. It won't move, and that's because the container doesn't like the web view, the web view logic. So we can come in here, and there's this Final Fantasy XIV _ boot.cfg, and that's located in the documents of the container. Oh boy, I did not mean to do that. Don't do what I just did. Oh man, that is not the first time that has happened to me. What the heck is going on? Okay. Anyway, documents are whatever. Looks like it doesn't care anyway. In documents, my games, and then you'll find this Final Fantasy XIV folder, and there's the boot.cfg. Anyway, in your whatever Notepad app you have, you can go and open it. So I already have the location for it, so I just open it here. And this is, remember, this is after you've ran it for the first time and it's failed to get past that logo. you come in here, and all you need to do, you don't need to touch anything else in this file. The only thing you need to do is change this from a 0 to a 1. Okay? Go and save it however you please. And then the next thing you need to do is come into here. You need to go to My Computer, your C drive, Program Files x86, and there will be a Microsoft folder here. Inside it has the Edge View crap that you don't need. Delete the Microsoft folder, exit out of the container. Okay. All right. From there, you can then go and load your game. It should just work. It'll go and load through, and I'll show you what it'll do. Okay. Comes in here. Now you'll know if the Steam works, if the Steam login works, because it'll autofill your username. So in the case of mine, you'll see here, it's gone and auto-filled it. It's got my name there. It auto brings up the keyboard. Give me 1 second to enter my password. Not having that on here. Okay. Got it here. You can use the touchscreen to make all your changes. To use the mouse to move around. Happy days. It'll go and download your 126 gig of game files. It'll take its sweet time. It took me hours. It was way below what my regular download speed was. Anyway, game will eventually boot. Doesn't take too long. Shouldn't have many issues. There is, or I have found, a controller configuration problem. All the controls work great. The D-pad has this weird, this weird problem with it. So there's basically it'll click the D-pad. I don't know if it'll show it here because I've got the custom mapping on, but you click the D-pad and it clicks very quickly, and then it cuts out, or it doesn't click properly. And if you hold it, it clicks quickly, unclicks, and then holds. So there's an easy solution to that, which I'll show you now. It's important to get this set up. So you go into options, calibrate your controller however you please in game, whatever, down here, calibration, that's fine. And then what you want to do is, in your Thor settings, you've got, don't know if they're here, floating icon, yeah, so you go floating icon, put it on, you can swipe from here, and you can do this key adapter stuff. So you go key adapter, and you can see here that I have these 4 D-pad settings. So I've gone and added these buttons here, and I've gone and mapped them to the D-pad. So you just press the control that you want, and yeah, it maps it to it. So anyway, I've got those 4 there, and you might think, oh, it's a bit weird why they're there. Can't see anything because I've changed the opacity, and I've also set up in the Game Hub controls these virtual buttons. Now, you got to enable it every time you go back in. I'm sure there's a way you can fix that, but it lets the D-pad work as expected. So now I'm pressing the D-pad buttons. But in terms of the Game Hub configuration, we can go here and we can see my custom one. We can go edit. You can see I've got that. And so when you bring up the key adapter, you can see that I've mapped them over the top of each other, right? So that's essentially mapped the controls to those on-screen buttons. And once you change the opacity and everything, happy days, nobody knows the difference. So yeah, that's how you get around the D-pad problem if you have it. Anyway, this video is the long wind version for those that don't want to read the text. But here we are. We can hop in. I'll show you the in-game settings. I've opted for some slightly elevated settings rather than minimum. I think some of them are necessary, but keep in mind there is still a lot of headroom for graphic settings here to increase performance if you're very sensitive to this sort of thing. I mean, it's a handheld. It's running via Windows emulation, so keep your expectations in check. But for me, it's more than adequate, but I have chosen to increase some of the settings just for the sake of the game looking a little bit better. So anyway, we'll have a look. Okay. We can just get rid of all these. Come on. So having a look at the settings, we have the display settings. Doesn't really matter too much, any of these. I've just locked it to 30 FPS in-game. It's the main thing. And I've scaled the HUD. It's not really performance-based. You can adjust that as you please. UI resolution standard. This I've found to be the best. 80% resolution scaling. Dynamic resolution below 30 FPS. Just helps keep things in check. I don't know what the performance impact of grass interaction is. I don't really care. Some of these settings I've bumped up. In my opinion, the anti-aliasing, you have to have this on. It looks bad without it. You got to have it on. It doesn't seem to have too much of a performance impact. It looks way better, especially with the dynamic scaling and the 80% resolution. I've gone and turned on all these shadows for everyone. I bumped up some of these. I think some of these were minimum. Kept all these the same. I've put simple on for all these movement physics. They were on off. So yeah, and you get pretty good performance. Like here is one of my sort of more intensive mounts. I mean, I'm getting like, locked 30 here. It plays pretty awesome. You get some stutters. It does seem to be quite prone to caching and catching up. I don't know if that's the game or it's the way the emulator's handling it, but there are times where you'll get some lower frames and then it seems to like catch itself up. So you can see here, like I'm entering Limsa and it kind of tanks the frame rate. So it's actually not too bad, really, considering. I mean, it's not exactly peak time. It's 3 PM here on the Oceania server. But you can see it tanks the frame rate. And once it actually loads everyone in, I'm pretty sure it's because it's loading up the CPU. Once it loads everything, it kind of smoothens out a bit and you get back to a decent frame rate again. I mean, anyone that's played this knows how bad Limsa is performance-wise. I mean, even my Steam Deck doesn't really maintain 30 FPS. But again, eventually it does catch up and the frame rate gets a bit better. I'd like to show you it here, but we'll see. Oh, okay. Okay, it has recovered for some reason. I have no idea why, but you can see we are back up to 28, 27 frames per second, which, again, for any of you that know, Limsa's pretty performance intensive. You got all these characters, but there are settings you can adjust if this, if you're really nitpicking a few frames here in the hub. So anyway, I'm going to make a text write-up. I know people hate long-winded videos. They don't want to hear me yapping on about bullshit, but just for those that want a video of it. Anyway, let me know if you have any questions or issues.